It's Sunday, a day that in many cultures is a day that we hold aside from our common public and commercial concerns, from all that we normally pursue, from the superficialities. And we have a time of remembrance. We have a time of rest, time of recognition, time to return to our humanity. And for many, a time to celebrate the religious veneration of the divine in all of the strange and often conflicted forms that this takes place. I tend to be personally rather skeptical about organized religion, but I'm not at all skeptical about the human relationship with origin, our relationship with something we might refer to in language as the divine. And while I wouldn't select any public religion and say, this here is something true, within each of them, for one who has developed some insight, there is an incredible depth of, how should we say, memory and insight, history. In fact, divinity and wisdom. But it's very difficult, I think, for most of us to come to a place of sensitive orientation where we can make use of these jewels that have been preserved for us. And it often requires the ability to carefully see through much of the structure that traps other minds in superficialities and seeing things literally and this kind of thing. Well, some time ago I was introduced to a very unusual book. It's called The Meaning of Man, The Foundations of the Science of Knowledge. And it's a very strange book that comes from a small circle of scholars, Sufi scholars, in Fez in Morocco. And I'd like to read a couple of interesting passages from the book, briefly. And I'll include the introduction part of it, but I'm not going to really do it justice because I'm only going to read the first paragraph. And without hearing the rest of the introduction, the first paragraph is probably easily misunderstood. Yet there's something useful even in perhaps these misunderstandings. This is the most important book written by man. Until this edition, only one copy of the book was in existence. For 200 years, the author's copy was kept at the place where he taught, and during that time, regularly, every Thursday night, a small group of the intellectual elite of the city of Fez in Morocco would make their way down to the dyer's quarter, to the small zawiya, literally corner, of the great teacher, gather in a circle and read, examine, and apply the method delineated in the handwritten manuscript before them. As of today, the circle still gathers. It is hoped that by publication of this extraordinary work, incomparable in its profundity and clarity, the circle of Fez scholars will be extended and that knowledge may be disseminated through it in this age of intellectual bankruptcy. The book consists of paragraphs which are teachings, some related in sequence, some standing alone. They involve a way of seeing into thought and being that is uncommon in our in our regular everyday experience and thought. But it's quite profound, so I'd like to give you a gentle taste of some of this unusual nectar. I hope you might find something of great value within it. This is from page 83. Know that in the place in which good is great, evil is also great in it as well. The place in which profit is great, loss is also great in it. A place in which lovers come near, enemies also come near. Wherever your lover is, your enemy is as well. So that every place in which you find your lover, you find your enemy. The place in which light is strong, darkness is also strong. The place of nearness is the place of distance. The place of giving is the place of withholding. The place of narrowness is the place of wideness. The place of severity is the place of comfort. The place of slaves is the place of masters. The place of abasement is the place of might. The place of strength is the place of weakness. The place of absence is the place of finding. The place of separation is the place of gatheredness. When the Gnostic sees and realizes that all things are hidden in their opposites, things and their opposites become one with the Gnostic. There is no separation in them. When the station is realized for them and established after it, only absorption in the source or sea of oneness remains. That is the source of the goal. This absorption is designated by annihilation. We ask Allah Ta'ala, by His favor and ihsan, to give us a portion with the people of these sublime ranks. He has power over everything. The Gnostic does not eat the fruits of meaning until much silence makes speech pleasant, and much speech makes silence pleasant. All things are pleasant only by their opposites, and only the complete Gnostic finds things pleasant by their opposites. This meaning is with the self and with the species. That which is with the species is what we mentioned, and that which is with the self. When man acquires some tiredness within himself, that state is called by its opposite. The tiredness goes, and the self is pleasant. This is the adab of the people of the politics of the self and the politics of the species, because its principle is the same. Whoever owns himself owns all existence. Whoever is owned by himself is owned by existence and what is in it. The self is only owned by recognizing its politics, and the species is also like that. In reflecting on the nature of understanding and insight, it is obvious that we can know, see, and measure by opposites. In many domains, before we begin the process of rigorous or formal knowing, we evacuate the entire terrain, take everything out of it, and then selectively include only that which our concerns incline us to interest and connection and sensing with. And so in the state of emptiness, there's an incredible liberty. If we begin with many things already included, this thing, that thing from the culture, what I learned, the religion, the science, the teacher, the critic, the courtroom, the argument, my friends, the this, the that, we include all these things in the circle of our place from which we come into being. Then it's all filled up with conflicting kind of warlike processes that make a very stormy mess. But if we can gently release, let all that out, brush that away, then in the place of annihilation comes true relation, true insight, true learning, true understanding. And without this, our impoverishment is great indeed. Thank you for reflecting with me this afternoon on these things. I hope you may find some insight.